Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to The Radical Show. I'm your host, Radical XD, and today I am here to have another conversation with you about Star Wars. So, in the last episode, we went over Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. And even though I have plans to go further with other series such as Avatar The Last Airbender, it's time to finally wrap up my thoughts on the sequel trilogy. So, for starters, let's get into the whole mumbo jumbo that is the Star Wars sequel trilogy. So, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, it came out and everyone loved it. Like, regardless of how you feel about the movie right now or how you felt about it back then, everyone and their mom went to the movie theater to watch this movie and everyone enjoyed it. Until a few weeks or maybe months after the movie came out, everyone started criticizing it for copying A New Hope. And, obviously they weren't, shying away from that. I mean, it was clearly a soft reboot, and even if that's the case, they played it safe, which was the smart move considering how fans treated George Lucas for the prequels back in the day. Like, obviously now everyone, or maybe not everyone, but a lot of the, I guess, a lot of the kids from the prequel generation have now grown up and voiced out their opinions for their love for those movies, and I am one of those people. I really do enjoy Revenge of the Sith, but I'm also not blind to some of the terrible writing that the prequels have. But, people love those movies, and at least now, but back then, a lot of people hated on them. And if the internet was anything like it is now back then, oh God, I don't know how George could have survived that. I don't think anyone could survive that kind of criticism. But yes, the prequels were very much hated, and it is very understandable why Disney wanted to play it extremely safe with The Force Awakens. Because, it was a soft reboot, but at the end of the day, it made money. People went, they watched it, they loved it, they said it was better than the prequels. Everyone was satisfied for it. Then came Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Everyone was excited for it. Everyone went to go watch it. And this movie single-handedly split the entire fandom in half. You had one half who hated the movie with a passion, and then the others who praised the movie for its innovation, its expertise, or whatever it is they were saying back then. But either way, at the end of the day, when it finally came to see whose opinion was right with the Rise of Skywalker, none of our opinion mattered because we both lost extremely. So the Rise of Skywalker essentially sided with the side that absolutely hated The Last Jedi. Like, it's no secret. You go into The Rise of Skywalker and they are clearly trying to retcon everything that happened in the last movie and make up for it. One of the major criticisms in the last movie was that Rey was a Mary Sue, which, I kind of didn't see it with The Force Awakens, but it was very clear in The Last Jedi that she very was a Mary Sue, a character who is meant to be on the hero's journey, yet just, achieve strength without, working for it. You had Luke who trained on Dagobah, you had Anakin who trained with the Jedi his whole life, and then you have Rey not learning anything useful from Luke because, his character just didn't care about the Jedi in that movie. She didn't learn anything from him. I don't think she's had actual lightsaber training at that point in time. Like, even Snoke in The Last Jedi makes a point of it that she beat Kylo Ren, who had never, beaten my girl who could never hold a lightsaber. So they pretty much confirmed it. She's never had a lightsaber, yet she was extremely talented enough to fight trained guards that are meant to protect the supreme leader of the First Order, essentially the Emperor of the Empire, right? And she was able to beat them in combat with her lightsaber, as if she's had all the training in the world. And then at the end of the movie, as we saw, she lifted all them big ass boulders with the Force as if it was nothing. And it's like, come on now. Like, you're pushing it, right? You know, you're not beating the allegations of her being a Mary Sue. And then in this movie, it's funny because it's like at the same time, they show like I don't know how I want to go into this review, but I'm just gonna go what stood out to me. So going on to Rey, you know, they tried to prove to us, the audience, the one that criticized her for being a Mary Sue in the past films, which was, oh look, she, you know, oh you say she's a Mary Sue because she is in training. Well, here she is. She's training with Leia in the Force, right? And like, oh, that's good and all. I mean, it's already a bit too late for that, but you know, whatever. You know, here's your excuse. She's training in the woods with Leia, fucking Leia. She's training in the woods with Princess Leia. Apparently she was trained in the Force by Luke. We heard nothing about that in the past films, but whatever, that's not the point. But they decide to show us this with her literally floating in the air with rocks all over her as if she's Aang in the Avatar state. Like, bro, when have we ever seen anyone in this series do anything like this? Like, it's like, oh, here she is training, but then at the same time, she's the Avatar. She's a goddess. She's extremely powerful. Like, bro, like, that's such a slap to the fucking face. And it doesn't get any better throughout the film because at some point, her and Poe Dameron and Finn, whatever mission side quest they were on, they come across a bug that was injured, and then she uses the Force to completely heal the wound, which is insane because look, it is canon within Star Wars Legends and the back and all the books, comics, video games that Force healing is a thing, just not to the extent that it is presented within this film. In this film, according to this film, all you have to do is put your hand on a fatal wound, use the Force, and then boom, magic, as if nothing ever happened. Are you fucking kidding me? You cannot introduce a huge universe breaking ability that could have explained that could have saved so many characters in the past. I mean, like, all right, when it comes to spoilers, this movie's been out for years. I don't even respect this movie enough to warn people about spoilers, but, you know, fine. This is a spoiler warning. This whole review is going to be filled with spoilers. So basically, at some point in the film, she stabs Kylo Ren. Whatever it happened, it's stupid. She stabs him with a lightsaber. Like, the full thing goes inside of him. Like, he's dead. Like, he got Qui-Gon Jinned. And then she just goes up to him, uses the Force, and completely heals his fatal wound as if nothing happened. And we're just supposed to accept that's possible, that Rey can just do that. Like, why couldn't Obi-Wan do that for Qui-Gon Jinn? I mean, he actually had a legit Jedi Master. He had the whole Jedi Order. They taught him. I mean, for fuck's sake. Anakin joined the dark side simply to find a way to save his wife. But if you told him that we got Force healing here, your wife is good. Like, come on. Like, you can't just do all this stuff. And it gets even worse where they do something that, you know, I'll admit, it could be cool, but it also raises more questions. Later on, we see that through a strong Force connection with Kylo Ren or Rey, they can literally interact with each other from across the universe. Are you fucking serious? They're talking to each other across the universe, you know, fine. It's, you know, Force connections are a thing, you know, people have Force bonds and all that stuff. But then, you know, Kylo Ren rips the necklace off of Rey and just it teleported to him wherever he was. And then later on in the movie, she teleports one of the lightsabers to Ben, and you're just like, what? Like, what are the rules to this? Like, are you saying teleportation is a thing in Star Wars? Like, No, like I get it. I know the average viewer is like, oh, it's a sci-fi show. You know, you got laser swords, you got blasters and spaceships. You go to hyperseas. Why can't there be teleportation? You know, that makes sense. But Star Wars has been around for so many decades. There's been countless stories, comics, video games, all the mumbo jumbo, and the series has already established its own rules and how it works. And it's just like teleportation through a force is just something that's never happened, and it just doesn't make sense. And then you got the people make the argument, well, in every Star Wars movie they introduce a new force ability, like in the original A New Hope. You know, you had the Jedi mind trick, and you had like being able to make like precognitive, or what is it, precognitive senses or something, like you can see with your eyes closed. You know, it was like a feeling, right? You can influence the mind. And then in Empire, we see Luke use the Force to pull stuff to him with telekinesis and all that stuff, to lift objects. And then we go into Return of the Jedi, and you see Palpatine use lightning. You know, that's fine, but you know, those were the first ever Star Wars movies. They were allowed to get away with it because they were our introduction to the series, right? And it's been around for so long, so it's just, it feels kind of late to just introduce new force abilities that don't already exist within this franchise. Like Kylo Ren's force freeze is something cool and creative, and can definitely be applied, you know, as a new ability. You know, it makes sense. You know, you use the force to choke people, to lift objects. What's to stop someone from using the force to, you know, force someone not to be able to move, you know? But nevertheless, I'm getting way ahead of myself with these force abilities, because ultimately that's not the main problem of this film. This film has a major issue with Rey being a Mary Sue. She's 100% a Mary Sue in this movie. I don't care how they try to justify it. She's a Mary Sue. And, I mean, for fuck's sake, the scene where she shoots force lightning out of her hands, like, I, I don't think I've laughed any harder in a movie theater. Seeing that actually happen, her use lightning, I was completely in awe. Like, I couldn't believe my eyes as to what the hell I was seeing. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, it made no sense. I also did not like the fact that Palpatine was in this movie, because the very idea of Palpatine coming back to life just makes everyone's sacrifice to bring him down pointless. Every single one of the characters you cared about in the prequels, Clone Wars, Rebels, all the Jedi who've died, Obi-Wan, Yoda, Ahsoka, Kanan, all them bastards, even Vader himself sacrificing himself to kill Palpatine, all of it meaningless because Palpatine magically survived. And how did he survive? We don't know. They literally don't give us an explanation. They hint at something like secret cloning. You know, secrets only the Sith knew. That's not true. What about the Kaminoans from the prequels? The whole clone army, you know. And obviously the greatest line ever in cinema with Poe Dameron. Somehow Palpatine came back. Like it just sums it up. There's legit no clear explanation. Like, he's just back. And it makes no sense, because you watch Force Awakens, you watch Last Jedi, you have Snoke, you're wondering who the fuck is Snoke, but then at the end of the day, it didn't matter because he got killed, and now Kylo Ren is the new bad guy. And honestly, that was one of my favorite things about The Last Jedi. The fact that Kylo Ren said, no, fuck this, I'm no Vader, I don't take orders from anyone, I am my own villain, which I really, really liked, and I was willing to see a movie where Kylo Ren was truly the main threat of the saga. But no, they said, fuck that, make him an apprentice to Palpatine, bring Palpatine, and Palpatine being back just doesn't make any sense. There was no hint to him whatsoever of him coming back to this alive in this movie. It is what it is, you know? He gives some bullshit explanation that he made Snoke, like, okay, it's so stupid. And then he's like, oh, they're a dyad. Oh my god, this movie's so bad, and it's so fast paced too, because it doesn't give you a second to breathe. Like, it just moves from plot A to B, C, D. Like, it just keeps moving from one place to the next. It doesn't give the audience enough time to understand what the hell is going on. Like, one scene, you got Kylo Ren just killing people on Mustafar. Then he's all of a sudden confronting Palpatine. Then we see Rey train for like 2 minutes. Then she goes on the planet with Poe. Then Poe's like flying in the ship, shooting TIE fighters. Then Kylo throws a head on the table. Then they're looking for these MacGuffins, and then it just makes no fucking sense. Like, there's so much shit. It keeps rushing you. Chewie gets kidnapped. Chewie dies. Then he's not dead, but he's captured, and then they fight on the water planet. But she kills Kylo Ren. Leia dies, but then Kylo Ren comes back. Then he sees a fucking Force Ghost, but it's not really a Force Ghost of Han, because Han wasn't a Jedi, so Kylo's just going insane or some shit. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And also, bro, they fucking hated The Last Jedi. Like Rose, whatever her character was in The Last Jedi, gone. Like, like at the very beginning of the movie, Finn's like, "Hey Rose, you gonna come with us?" Not this time, Finn. The fans will crucify me if I have any more than 2 minutes of screen time. And they're like, all right, and he just dips. He dips, and then something bugged me the wrong way. Rey, Finn, and Poe are all they're together in the Millennium Falcon. They have actual scenes together, and to be honest, they have great chemistry. They work as the main trio of a saga or of a Star Wars trilogy. Like, I like their interactions. Only, it sucks to realize that this is the first film within a trilogy where they actually, all three of them, interact with each other. Like, this is the first time that we get to see Rey interacting with Poe. Like, they barely met at the end of The Last Jedi, which is something I forgot to mention when I reviewed The Last Jedi. Like, or maybe I did mention it, I don't remember. But, it just seems crazy to me that you have three actors who are supposed to be your main characters. They're supposed to be the trio, the main cast, and you only just now give them time to, share the screen together. And it just makes no sense. And it gets fucking worse, too. They make excuses for everything that happened. Luke explains that, he always knew all along that the Jedi was the way. Like, what? And then, like, fucking all those light speed bullshit. They're like, it's 1 in a million chance, blah, 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 blah. Last Jedi garbage. Yeah, forget about it. This movie literally took every fucking fan theory that J.J. Abrams saw on a Reddit post or on Instagram and was like, yep, I'm going with that. Remember the theory that, the Last Jedi showed us the X-Wing in the water? Maybe Luke was meant to use that. Yeah, Rey goes back to the same fucking planet and just takes it. Then another game changer, Luke, who's a Force Ghost, catches the lightsaber. Like, Rey throws the lightsaber and he catches it. And then not only that, he then proceeds to use the Force to lift the X-Wing out of the water. Now, hear me out. Luke is a Force Ghost. He is dead. Yet, even as a ghost, where he's basically immortal, invincible, because he's a ghost. You can't kill a ghost. He can hold physical objects in the form of a lightsaber, and he can still use the Force to interact with the world. If Force Ghosts can hold a lightsaber and use the Force, what the fuck is stopping them from helping everyone else out in the galaxy? Where's Obi-Wan? Where's Yoda? Why don't they all pick up a lightsaber and go fight fucking Palpatine? Like, you can't do this. In the original trilogy, the Force Ghost aspect was more like, I get to live on through the Force and, guide the new generation. Obi-Wan's guiding Luke, and Yoda's doing the same to Luke again. But then here you are in the sequel trilogy. They're literally interacting with the physical world. Like, bro, if that's the case, then there's no threat of death. It doesn't matter. You might as well just die and become a Force Ghost, because you can clearly just do whatever you want. And okay. I'm sorry. I'm very stressed about this movie. Like, I fucking hate this movie. Like, Oh boy. I think the moment I legitimately lost my mind, like I'm telling you, like opening weekend, opening day, I'm in the movie theater. I see I see something that I didn't think would ever happen. And when I saw it, I thought I was in a fucking dream. I thought I was asleep. I thought I was like, wait a minute. I'm just getting excited about watching the new Star Wars. I'm just making this up. I'll be awake soon. But I started blinking. I started eating my popcorn. I started drinking. I started moving around. I'm like, oh no, this is actually real. Rey and Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, whatever you want to call it, two people who've actively been trying to murder each other throughout the whole trilogy, make out at the end of the movie. That's no joke. In the same movie, these fuckers had a duel to the death where she literally killed him by stabbing him, but then immediately healed. And no, and fuck that. And here's the worst part. Throughout this trilogy, she is the one calling him a monster. In fact, she's the one more willing to kill him, where he's like, trying to manipulate her to his side, And she keeps calling him a monster. He murders his own father, Han Solo, someone she looked at as a father figure. Like, she thinks nothing of Kylo, right? And then, he brutalizes Finn in The Force Awakens. He killed God knows how many innocent people. He blew up so many planets. And then in The Last Jedi, she realizes that it was Luke's fault, so she tries to bring him back to the light. Obviously, that didn't work out, so, he's a lost cause. And then here, she actively hates him. And then she just, and it was her that kissed him. He didn't kiss her. She kissed him. And you're just like, what the fuck are you watching? And then the fucker then dies and just becomes one with the Force as if nothing happened. And then you just forget about it. And I don't even know how I forgot to mention this, but apparently Rey's a fucking Palpatine. What the fuck? I don't know how you can explain that, how you can justify that. The mere thought that Palpatine, did the deed with a woman. Like, I'm telling you right now, whatever backstory there is with that, whoever the woman was, it wasn't consensual. Knowing Palpatine, that evil fucking bastard, oh hell no. I don't even want to think about that. But, yeah. Raise a Palpatine, whatever, it doesn't matter, because at this point in the movie, I just don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck no more, Nine Nub died at some point. Every ship in the galaxy shows up, Avenger style, and then it's over. The First Order died, They're gone. Kylo Ren, the rest of them gone, The Resistance, or the New Republic, they get to rebuild a new happy ending. Rey goes to rebuild the Jedi Order. And I'm just thinking to myself, we already had this ending. This exact ending already happened. With the prequels, we see the fall of the Republic and the rise of the Empire. And with the original trilogy, we see the rebellion rebel against the Empire. And we see our hero go on the hero's journey and, save the fucking galaxy. And we already had the redemption with Vader. Why do it again with Ben Solo, And I'm just sitting there like, I'm completely infuriated with the movie. Don't even get me started with how Palpatine died. We can just forget that ever happened. Like, I mean, the whole point was like Palpatine was telling Rey to kill him because that would somehow make him strong or some bullshit. I don't care to know the exact details, but she did exactly what he wanted him to do. He shot lightning at her. She deflected it back with two lightsabers, and he died. I don't fucking know. I can't fucking explain it. And I'm just like, leaving that theater, I was infuriated and enraged. And when I took my younger brother to watch it a second time, I watched it a second time. He wanted to see it because, he loves Star Wars, fine. I took him to watch it. And after watching it a second time in theaters, I was no longer filled with rage. I was filled with genuine depression because I'm just supposed to sit here and accept the fact that every single one of your favorite Star Wars characters, like from Rex to Anakin, Obi-Wan, Kanan, Ezra, or maybe not Ezra, but like, all their favorite Star Wars characters from the previous movies that all fought with the Republic and then against the Empire, they all died so that Ray of all people, could get a happy ending. Luke Skywalker did not save the galaxy. He only temporarily saved it and then failed miserably, only for a nobody. No, fuck that, not even nobody. Only for a Palpatine to save the galaxy from Palpatine and then rebuild the Jedi. Like how are you telling me that Palpatine didn't win? Like, there's just no way. But it happened, and honestly, I just hope they can forget about these movies. But unfortunately, I don't. Fortunately, they officially announced a Rey movie after these events, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like, do they just not care of what everyone was talking about with these movies? Did they just hear the criticisms and said, huh, just swipe that under the rug? No biggie. They literally didn't give a fuck, and they just announced it, and I'm just like, well, it's gonna be garbage, and yeah. But yeah, those are my thoughts, my review of the Rise of Skywalker, and honestly, I've talked about this movie so many times with so many people, and I'm just sick of it. I'm never gonna watch it again. Maybe when I'm older and feel like I want to have a good time, getting myself drunk and depressed. But whatever. Don't drink, kids. Don't do that. All right. I'm just venting right now. I doubt any kids are listening to this, but it don't matter. Just don't do that. But yeah, this movie. I might sound dramatic, but I'm giving it a 3 out of 10. I fucking despise this movie more for its meaning. What it mean? I mostly hate this movie for what it means for the entire Star Wars franchise. The significance it has to the characters in the series. I hate it for its meaning. Whether or not it's a good constructed film, I don't know. I do think it has some pretty bad pacing issues, and a lot of the plot and subplots don't make a lot of sense. But, again, visually speaking, it looks great. The sound is great, the music's great, and all that stuff. And, every Star Wars movie has great effects. That goes without saying, so it's not even impressive at this point. But yeah, those are my thoughts on The Rise of Skywalker, and I really don't want to talk about it no more because, I'm all right. Looking on Disney right now, they bomb with their movies. They started off really good with The Force Awakens. Everyone fell for the soft reboot, and unfortunately, because of how The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker turned out, that immediately makes The Force Awakens worse than what it was, which really sucks because you can watch The Force Awakens, it be a genuine good start to what could have been an amazing story, and then what comes after, and you're just disappointed. So it's like there's really no point with The Force Awakens anymore. And when Rogue One came out, that movie was the shit. It's like everyone was open to the idea of more spin-off Star Wars films because Rogue One was really good, and it was an interesting plot. How the rebels, stole the Death Star plans. Rebels who weren't the main characters of the original trilogy, no Jedi involved, and it was a very interesting, story. And then the geniuses at Disney decided to make another spin-off Star Wars movie. Everyone was asking for something. They were like, give us a Vader movie, give us Kenobi, give us Boba Fett, give us Maul. Everyone was asking for every other Star Wars character except for the one that they made, Solo, a Star Wars story. Literally, no one fucking asked for this movie. Now, why did no one want this movie? Because everyone loves Harrison Ford as Han Solo. You can't watch the original trilogy and not like Han Solo. Everyone fucking loves Han Solo. He's someone's favorite Star Wars character, and Harrison Ford is a big part of that character. So when you bring the idea of making a prequel of Han Solo, knowing full well that Harrison Ford is way too old to play Han Solo, you have to recast him, and no one, and I mean no one, could have potentially done that, you know? And they went with a guy who looks nothing like Harrison Ford. Like I'll give the actor some credit, you know. He got some of the characteristics of Han Solo pretty dead on, you know. But like, I'm sorry, if you don't have the look, you're just not Han Solo. I'm sorry. Which is weird because there was an actor, I forget his name, but this actor played a young version of Harrison Ford was in a movie where a girl was like, I guess, immoral and she lived, you know, a long life. But basically, there's an actor who plays the younger version of Harrison Ford's character in that movie, and this actor looks just like him when he was, you know, young. If anyone had the look to play Han Solo, it was that guy. I mean, for fuck's sake, he even cosplays as Han Solo, and he even did a few voice lines with Han Solo, and, you know, he could have done it. But apparently the people behind Solo, and I don't know where I heard this, I don't know if it's true, but apparently they interviewed one actor, and they're like, that's it, he's the one, and they just went with it. And I'm going to give Solo some credit. It was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. I watched it in theaters, because obviously, you know, I'm a Star Wars fan. I was always going to watch it. And, you know, when I went to watch it with my brother, you know, there weren't a lot of people there. I think there might have been like 6 other people in the room. But, you know, I like that as a movie experience. You know, it's not that loud like Marvel movies and stuff. But, yeah, I enjoyed Solo, but I knew it was destined to bomb because no one wanted to see it. They didn't care to see it. There might have been other reasons for it. But, yeah, and then we have all these Star Wars shows coming out. The first season of Mandalorian, everyone loved that. Season 2, it was good. You know, some people criticized the cameos. Season 3, a little iffy. And then the 2 shows or characters everyone wanted to see something about, Kenobi and Boba Fett. Everyone wanted to see that. And unfortunately, Kenobi wasn't as good as it could have been. Ewan McGregor had did nothing wrong with those movies. I don't know why I said movies. Ewan McGregor did a great job with Kenobi. Maybe we'll talk about it someday. I'm just gonna say right now, Kenobi is in no means a great show. It has good moments, but it's written very poorly. And the Book of Boba Fett, in my opinion, is like, it completely contradicts Boba's character as a badass bounty hunter. Like, maybe we'll talk about it another time. I might be willing to review Book of Boba Fett, considering how much Boba Fett means to me personally, because I really love Boba Fett. I mean, I'm standing in my room looking at these Boba Fett figurines I've had since I was a kid, but, you know, Boba Fett is fucking awesome, and, you know, the Book of Boba Fett was very disappointing for me. But, yeah, what else is there to talk about? I don't actually know. Let me take a good look at my fancy little notes, but oh yeah, I've finally sat down to watch The Bad Batch. You know, season 1. I'm gonna just be real with The Bad Batch. So obviously, Clone Wars animation is top tier, and Bad Batch season 1 has some really, really good episodes, and I mean some really good episodes. But then there's a lot of filler as well. Maybe not filler. Maybe technically not filler episodes because they have some significance to the story later on. But they're episodes that spiral into an adventure that isn't really necessary for the overall story. And the adventure usually isn't that entertaining. That isn't always the case. But it was very prevalent with the first season of Bad Batch. And there was still some of that in season 2, but it was definitely a lot better. I really enjoyed season 2, and I'm loving season 3 right now. Maybe when season 3 is finished, because I believe it's the final season of the show, but I would love to go into in-depth review of the series, and these are my quick thoughts on the Bad Batch, and it's it's really fun. It really is. I would say Crosshair is my favorite character in that show, but that's besides the point. Because this podcast is already over half an hour long, because that's just how much I care about Star Wars. So I'm sorry, bear with me. I know I've tried to make these podcasts maybe 15 minutes long, 15 to 25 minutes, Half an hour is kind of pushing it. But, more content for you or for anyone who's listening. If you are listening, thank you so much for doing so. I hope I'm somewhat interesting to hear. I don't know. This is weird. But anyways, the plans for Avatar. Yes, I do want to talk about the Avatar series, and I think that's what we'll dive into for the next episode. For now, no, yeah. We'll dive into the Avatar series. Now what type of Avatar? I don't know. We could talk about the Netflix series with the animated series, but I also really want to talk about Korra because that's the freshest in my mind. But no, we'll dive into the Netflix series and how it fares with the original animated series. But those are the plans for the next episode. But for this episode, thank you so much for listening in on the Radical Show. And as of right now, I haven't posted a single one, but I will be planning to post them all on my YouTube channel. If anyone's interested within the YouTube channel, because it's a few years old now, I have some gameplay videos. They're not the best edited because, I half-assedly recorded them on my PS4 at the time with my shitty ass mic or gaming headset, and I just played it. I played the original Spider-Man PS4. It was a replay of it, so it wasn't a first genuine reaction to the game, but still a pretty fun playthrough. Until Dawn, that one I really, really enjoyed. I did Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1, and, a few Naruto fighting videos, and one pretty embarrassing video of me raging at Battlefront 2, and also an anime rant, and that was me during my anime phase, and that my anime phase was probably during quarantine, because when COVID hit, everyone was stuck inside, forced to watch something. I think that's when anime became mainstream because everyone was running out of things to watch, and then they're like, fuck it, let's watch some anime. And that's what happened to me. I ended up watching Naruto on Netflix. I fell in love with the series and, became pretty knowledgeable about the series. I knew too much for my own good. And I started ranting about the most pointless versus battles. If you want to watch that, that's fine. It's embarrassing. Roast me for me, whatever, Everyone goes through their weird phase, I guess, I still love anime, don't get me wrong. But, I'm not as vocal about it anymore. But, yes, thank you so much for tuning in to The Radical Show. And I hope to see you all next time. Thank you. Bye.